Hi, this is J. Chris Griffin with the Pop Vocal Artist Studios. One of the many things I do around here is keep everything in shape. And I enjoy building things that kind of last. So today I thought I'd combine these two and show you how I make an XLR cable or a microphone cable that lasts forever. So let's get started. Well, here we go. There's a few things I think you should have before you begin, and they're laid out here. A pair of really nice sharp point snips. They're going to be very helpful. Some needle nose pliers with the flat and non-ridged insides. They're also awesome. This little piece is a wire stripper that I got from Radio Shack years ago. I don't know if they still carry it, but they're around. I got this for like 15 bucks. I think they're 40 to 50 now. You're also going to want a very small screwdriver. This is going to help when you comb out the shield on the XLR cable that we're going to use. Scissors make life a lot easier when you're cutting the heat shrink, so we'll talk about the heat shrink next. I have very small that we're going to use around the shield, and then I think this is either 5/8 or so, maybe a 1/2 inch to 5/8 that we're going to use around the cable itself, and you'll see what we do with that. Then I have just some regular 60/40 solder, and of course I have our XLR ends, and then I have a heat gun, just a little Home Depot Wagner heat gun, and of course I have my very nice soldering iron. So that is all the tools that we need. So let's grab our cable and begin. So what we want to do is we want to take off just a little over, maybe between a 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch. And the way we're going to do is I'm going to actually fold this over so I can see it. We don't want to hit the shield at all. So what we're going to do, we're just going to touch this brand new razor blade in there. You can see how it comes apart. I'm going to roll it over and kind of see where I'm just going to very lightly all I've got to do is just touch it, and it just comes right over. It opens right up, and of course I'm putting a lot of pressure on it by bending it. And what this does, this doesn't even touch the shield, and then if you do it right, you can have it meet right up where you want, and then it's all off, and then you just literally pull it off. It's a little tough because the XLR cable is so well made. And then what you have is it exposes this aluminum shield around it, and it's all braided. So what you've got to do is use your small screwdriver and just comb this out. Now it's not quick, and so you start at the tips and just start fraying it, and you're not going to tear the wire if you do it gently. And of course you do want to do it gently so you don't tear the wire. And you can see it kind of fraying out, and off we go. So what we'll do is just speed up the video a bit and fast forward through all the combing. All right, looks like we're about done. So it looks a mess, so we're just going to fold kind of the aluminum shield down and kind of fan it out, and let's see what we're up against. And of course the cotton thread is in the way, so I'm going to pull some of there's paper and cotton thread, so I'm going to pull some of the paper out, and that'll help things. Okay, so we have these all pulled down now, and then we're going to finish pulling off this paper, and then we're just going to cut off the cotton. Now you're going to find that these are really helpful because they'll get right down to it. Now be sure you don't cut off any of the shield here, and just try not to get too aggressive until you really know where the wires are. And of course, don't cut any of the signal wires. Just be real careful. Find out what you're doing. The last one. There we go. So we've got these signal wires. So what we're going to do is take the shield, kind of find where it naturally wraps, divide it, and wrap it. And what I mean by wrap is we're just going to twist it up and kind of make it a wire unto itself. And so I'll just twist it clockwise with my left hand. And that's pretty cool. All right, so we kind of have this thing. Now it's a little long, so I'm just going to trim it up about even with the other ones. There we go. And there we are. So this whole thing for me is a little long. I'm going to just trim the whole thing up just about, yeah, that looks better. About 1/8 of an inch is all I trimmed. So next we're going to get out our trusty wire strippers. And we're just going to strip the very, well, that's a little more than that. The very tip, this one's being a little star, there we go. We're going to get the very tip of it. And let's get this blue one. We're going to get all of them. That one's really good. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of dumping out the insulation that gets stuck in there. I'm just kind of hitting it. Let's get that out of the way. That'll be fine. This is self-healing plastic. So if it gets you know, some bad stuff in here, maybe like right in there, when you apply heat to it, it's just going to seal right back up. There we go. That's really nice. When you apply heat to it, it's going to just seal right back up like nothing happened. So what I want to do is I want to twist the blue wires together. And this will be easier when we do add some heat. But I'm going to twist the ends of them together. And twist the ends of these together. So we'll have a total of 3 conductors. And I'm going to show you how this works in just a second. All right, I'm going to put this in the vise. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do what we call tinning the ends. It's really, we're just soldering the ends. Solder is made out of a good bit of tin, so I can see where they got the name. So we're going to bring our soldering iron around, and we're just going to tin these ends. Just so you'll find it helpful if you'll kind of tin the soldering iron first and wipe it off, and then apply the solder to the iron and the wire at the same time. And that's a nice little joint. Same kind of thing, apply the heat to the solder and to the joint at the same time. Now since they're hot, we can actually wrap these a little tighter, and that'll be really cool. That'll help us a lot when we start actually applying it to the connector. All right, so now we need to tin this. And a lot of people want to tin the whole wire. I typically just tin the very tip because we're going to do something else with this one. All right, I like to hold the heat under the wire and make sure it gets the whole thing. So I just flicked off a little excess solder, and it got on the desk here, and it'll just rub right off. So that one's tinned as well. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our heat shrink here and push on a little bit. Now this may be actually too small. No, it's just the right size. And so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of measure it by pushing it up on there, and I'm going to want about 1/8 of an inch exposed. So right about there is going to be right. Yeah, that's exposing just about 1/8 of an inch. So then I'm going to grab the heat gun, apply a little heat to it, and it's going to shrink it down. Now let me see how I can do this with the camera. Now this is really hot air, so don't get your fingers in it, but it's okay. So this is almost ready to go on the connector. Let's do the other one and get it ready too. We're going to comb it out, and we'll get both ends ready and get ready to go. So let's do that now. Okay, that's about right. Let's heat shrink it. Well done. Now we're ready for the next step. So with the XLRs, these are the nitric connectors. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to put the end cap on the cable first. And it really helps because everything's soldered. And you just kind of push it on there. And we're going to do this on both ends. Everything else will go in after everything's done. So let's move these out of the way and move these out of the way. All we're really worried about is one of the connectors at the moment. So let's put this in our vise. And we'll move our vise around just so it... So what we don't want to put these to the metal, we just want to put the plastic in there. So the 3 cups here are empty. And so what we'll do is we'll fill them up with new solder. Even if they have solder in them, it's best to unload the solder and then put new solder in. So again, we're putting the solder on the iron and the metal at the same time. And we're just getting a little bit in there. Not a whole lot. It'll kind of bubble up around the surface. It won't be completely full, but that's the deal. All right, you don't want to leave the iron on there too long or it'll start knurling it up. So we've got this in the vise. And before we begin, we want to put just a little bit of heat shrink around this. So we're going to get the 1/2 inch to 5/8. We're going to use our scissors, and I think about that much should suffice. Let's just go ahead and do it for both ends. And we don't want to heat it yet, we just want to put it on. So we've got the end cap and the heat shrink on, and we're ready to go with this in the vise. And here's pin 2, pin 1, pin 3. So we'll make sure that the right one goes. And we're going to make sure also that the wires kind of naturally bend into place, and so I'll just kind of do that before we even solder the first thing. So I like to solder either, well, whatever's making sense really. In this case, I think the ground pin or the shield pin is going to be the easiest. So I'm heating it up and getting it flowing, and I'm sticking it all the way down in there. And let me pull this out and show you. There is that's shield all the way down, because you don't want any wires exposed, because if it ever twists, then those wires start touching one another as the cable ages. So now this is a great example of why I might want the needle nose pliers here. So we have solder. So I'm going to hold the soldering iron in my left hand. Let's see if I can do this. And then I'm going to use these. Now you have to be careful because these wires will heat up and you'll leave an imprint of your pliers if you're not careful. So what we're going to do is just kind of stick it in there, and yep, quick and easy. That's what we want. Let's do the same thing since I'm here, and I'm kind of practicing before I actually solder it and apply heat, and just making sure it'll go. Oop, kind of came out of the vise there, didn't it? All right, let me put everything away. Let's see how we did. Oh yeah, very nice. So the insulation is all the way down to the solder cup in each case. And you might be asking, what about all this? Well, that's what the heat shrink is going to take care of. And we're just going to slide the heat shrink tubing over the whole thing. And then that way it'll keep that intact. And over the life of the cable, it'll be really cool. So let's put the heat to it. And you got to be careful because you'll shine that up if you keep too much heat on it. And just take it slow and easy, always twisting. And starting to look good, Okay. So that's how it should look at the end, and you'll see that none of this is exposed. And as it twists through the life of the cable, none of this will be exposed, and the heat shrink itself will even keep these cables where they should be. So what we're going to do now is we're going to slide the XLR on. We're going to put the strain relief in. Just slide it right over the cable. There, let's get the strain relief on that way. There we go. So you'll find that the strain relief grabs onto the heat shrink just like it should. And we're going to tighten this as tight as we can, really. And you don't want to go crazy. You don't want to get a wrench on it or anything. You just want to tighten it nicely finger tight. And that's the end. So let's do the other end. So again, we've got our end cap on. We're going to put our piece of heat shrink over it. You have to do this before you solder, or else you're unsoldering. And then we'll use it. Now everything is reversed on this side. So this is pin 2. So it's pin 2, then 1, then 3. So it's reversed on the female side. Again, we're going to fill our solder cups. It doesn't have to be a ton. Again, you're putting the solder on the iron at the same time you're heating the metal. I might need a little more on that one. Okay, so pin 2, 1, and 3. So again, I'm going to make the wires kind of do what they should do. That white wire's got to come up underneath. All right, in this case, I think we're going to do pin 1 first. All the way down to the solder cut with the insulation. Let it dry, and then let's get our, again, rehearse how it's going to go in. See, that doesn't want to go in, so we need to bend this just a little bit. Let's see if I can bend that. Yeah. Now let's get this going. That looks way better. So I'm going to move this around for myself. Okay. Well, let's see how to do this. Not bad, not bad. I'm not too happy with that, but that's kind of the way it goes, I'm afraid. All right, let's put the heat shrink around it. Shrink it up. Okay. So, put the end on it. Move this out of the way. Well, you know what? I'm going to learn from my mistakes the last time. We're going to put the strain relief on as it goes. Put it down here and then bring it up. There we go. Align those two things. Excellent. There we go. All right. And there we are. So there's your XLR cable, and we're done. Well, that's how to make a great XLR cable that's going to last you your entire career. I'm using XLR cables that I built literally 25 years ago, and they're still going strong. So I hope you enjoyed learning how to do it my way, and I hope it works for you. Check us out at the Pop Vocal Artist Studios, see what we're doing online, and the Pop Vocal Artist Workshop. And also check out the other videos that we've put up, and hope you enjoy those too. Thanks so much.